Hello and welcome to Self Power Now, where empowering women share their stories and advice about life, work, happiness, love, and success. I'm your host, Debbie Giussoni, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. So sit back and enjoy the show. My guest today is Stephanie Herman. Stephanie is a well-renowned master Pilates teacher who started her career as a ballerina, but not just any ballerina. At 20 years old, she became the principal ballerina with Geneva Ballet and danced with all the greats on the world's most prominent stages, including Mikhail Baryshnikov. Then at 21 years old, she was injured, which threatened her life passion. She was ultimately cured by Carola Trier, the first disciple of Joseph Pilates, becoming even stronger than before her injury. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hello, and thank you so much, Debbie, and welcome everybody else.
I love that you're outside. For those of you who are watching this on Zoom, it's so nice to just do interviews like this when someone's outside because we spend so much time in our offices. You are truly an inspiration for women of all ages. Not only did you make it big in a very highly competitive field, ballet of all things, but on top of that, you overcame injuries at a very young age. What motivates you? What gives you the motivation to keep on keeping on and finding solutions that work for you throughout your life from the early years and still going strong now in your 70s?
That's a very good question, Debbie. I think some people, I don't know if I'm different than other people in reference to I had a passion. And I know as a teenager, some teenagers don't have direction, don't have a passion, and that could make it confusing for teens. But when I was 12, I was introduced to ballet at my gym.
Hmm.
100 sweating teenagers doing crunches, and my gym teacher came over and said, "Would you like to join our ballet group, which is after school?" I said, "Well, I've never danced before." And she said, "That's okay." I was like, "Okay." So I went, and that's where I saw this girl, Erica, do a pirouette, a twirl. And I was like, "Whoa, where'd you learn to do that?" And she said, "School American Ballet." So I ran home and I told my mom I wanted to go to School American Ballet. She made it happen. We had an audition. I auditioned. And little did I know that that was the best school in all of the world, was George Balanchine School of American Ballet, which is part of the New York City Ballet. And
Mm.
once I started classes there, I was in love. And there I was, 12 years old, my passion, I was in love. And every year I just kept getting taller.
I know you talk a lot about that in your bio, and I'm going to talk a little bit about your one woman show. I mean, not only were you injured at an early age, but you were told at an early age that you were too tall for ballet. So you overcame a lot. And you're saying basically your passion for it was so strong that it didn't really matter that you had these odds against you, huh?
So I feel like when I feel something in my gut,
Hmm.
it is like so strong, and I can't let it go. I mean, even today, if I feel something in my gut, I've got to make it happen. And in my relationship with my husband, he knows when I get it in my gut, it usually means it's going to happen, even if that's not what he wants.
Well, you say your gut, and people know that feeling of when they have to do something. I call it divine intervention or coming from directly from spirit. I know for me, when I was writing my books, all I wanted to do was write an Italian cookbook, but that never came to fruition because all these other books about overcoming challenges in life kind of came through, and I just kept following my gut. So I understand that. It's almost like you can't even do anything else but that.
True. And I think that I have tenacity,
Hmm.
and Maybe I'm stuck. My older sister says I'm stubborn. I call it tenacity,
Determination.
determination. But I just feel like if I really, really, really want something, I want to make it happen. And I think when you're at that point, when you really, really want something, you want to make it happen, and it can't happen
Hmm.
because of your height or because of other reasons, then I think as I matured, I learned I had to get smarter. So when things are not happening, you can't just keep knocking your head on the wall and trying to make something happen that's not meant to happen.
Right.
And I think I started analyzing, well, what about this dream or fantasy or gut
Yeah,
intuition?
and sometimes our dreams are a fantasy. And I have this article that I wrote, a blog on my website, When Dreams Don't Come True, because a lot of times dreams don't come true. I'm sure there are plenty of ballerinas who wanted to aspire to what you had and maybe were just as good. And maybe that just was not their divine path in life. And in the article, I talk about things like, celebrating accomplishments, redefining your dream or redefining what success is to you, and whether or not you even need to change your dream or leave it behind. And in a way, you've kind of done all of that in your life by adjusting to your circumstances while still doing what you love.
Yes. And so like if I am at the point where I really, really want to dance and it's not happening because of my age or my body's not allowing my leg to go up like it used to, and I stop and think, well, I still want to dance. What am I going to do? Well, maybe I'll choreograph something where I don't get my leg up as
You adjust.
emotion into it, and I think that you have to reassess, as you say, um, and figure out, okay, how can I get the essence of my dream?
Yes.
What is the essence of your dream? Whatever that dream is.
Right. And sometimes our dreams are not where we make our living or make our money, right?
Yes.
And it's very, very important because you don't want to give up your passions, especially for you, dance. And I know you're doing Pilates and teaching Pilates, but I love the story that you had in your one woman show, which by the way, we're going to give that link at on the episode page. And it's about your sort of rise and fall and rise and fall in this lovely, world of dance. And what I love about that show is it shows a lot of humility and humor. And for me, I always tell people humility and humor go along, but you can't get through life without it. And you have a couple of stories in there where all of us can relate to getting older. And like for me, I remember in corporate, I was like always the first and the youngest person in the room. And then all of a sudden, I was the oldest person in the room. And I was like, hey, what happened here? And you have this story about, being asked to play the part of a mother, and you're like, "What? I'm playing the part of a mother," or being asked to perform at a bat mitzvah in a tennis racket costume. And you make it so fun and funny, and your humility shows. And that's all about what you're talking about, like accept what is, no matter what your age, things are going to change. You have to be open to different opportunities and different ways, to move your body and how to navigate your pride and humility in the world. What's your secret to that? How do you stay with that humility and humor as you get older?
Well, I think all dancers are always told what to do. And I think that humility starts early on,
Hmm.
where your teacher knows more than you, or your director is guiding you. And you can't have an ego and still have somebody direct you. You have to let go of the ego, and you have
Hmm.
to be honest and open to who you really are in
Mhm.
order to succeed in the way you want to succeed. So I think humility is probably ingrained in me just from ballet
Mhm.
and insecurity.
Well, what about growing up? You talk a lot about the support. Your mother was extremely supportive. And was she an immigrant? She Are you first generation immigrant?
Second,
Second, okay.
her
But kind of strong immigrant type values, right?
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. What
Yeah.
did she ingrain in you early on that helped you sort of form your career and have that motivation to keep on keeping on? Was it the hard knocks love kind of thing, or was it just very supportive?
I think it's more hard knocks type of a thing. And she actually, when, she got me into School of American Ballet, brought me there, helped pay for it. And then when I was 15, she decided that she wasn't going to pay for it anymore and she didn't want me to dance. And
Why? Why?
I was like, I was shocked. I was like, why? And she was scared I was going to turn into a lesbian. And I was
From
like,
ballet?
well, yeah. And
So
I was like,
where did that belief system come
I
from?
don't
Wait a minute, back up.
know. And I was just like, what? And I couldn't believe it. So what I did was I went to the director of the school and I said to the director that my parents can't afford to pay for this anymore.
Mhm.
And so the director said, well, we'll give you a scholarship.
Wow. Talk
So
about destiny, right?
I
So
got
you went anyway. So part of it was an issue of money, but the other part was they felt like you were going to become a lesbian, which I don't understand where that belief system came from.
I think at that age, I didn't even know what a lesbian was, you know. Like, the
And maybe they didn't
homosexuals,
either.
it was very strange.
So
But
you continued, but even though they didn't want you to, how did you do that
I
at that
think,
age?
I never really fought my parents. I was the youngest of four kids, and
Mhm.
I watched how my older siblings would fight, and they'd be yelling and screaming in the house, and I was like, I don't want this, so I'll be the good girl.
Yeah.
And I decided to be the good girl, not rock the boat,
The
and
peacemaker. Yeah, I was that.
yeah. And when it came to taking away my dream, I could not be the peacemaker.
Mm.
I had to fight. And I
Mhm.
think all of my life was learning how to own not just being the peacemaker, but
Mhm.
owning what I truly want to go for and not being afraid to do it, even if somebody else says, no, you can't do it. No, you shouldn't do it.
Mhm.
And I think that was a maturity thing for me.
Mm. Mm.
So, yes, hard knocks. And also, I think my mom was a great role model because she also was very strong willed
Mhm.
and she could move mountains.
Mhm. So she showed you a good example. What about what advice can you give women over 40, let's say, who still have not sort of realized what they want to be or do or where their passion lies or how to go after or achieve their dream in life?
So I did go through that when I got injured and I couldn't dance.
How old were you when you got injured?
Well, I got injured twice, and the first time I got back into getting
Mhm.
working with Corolla Trier, the first disciple of Joseph Pilates, and then I got back into the company and principal dancer and was able to dance throughout the world, Maria Verzhnikov, and it was fabulous. And then I got injured again, but the second time I was injured for 3 years, where doctors did not know how to cure me.
How old were you then?
I was 36.
Okay. Okay. So actually that's probably pretty old for a ballerina, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's usually between 36 and 40 when you should.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of that, I was thinking of stopping and I was
Mhm.
trying to quit, and I was still taking ballet classes, and I went to a ballet class, and Marcus Galante was in the class and said, "Where are you performing?" I said, "Well, I'm trying to quit." He says, "You can't quit." I go, "Yes, I can." I said, "I'm really trying." And he said, "No, no, I've got to choreograph something for you. You can't let the world not see you. Let me choreograph something for you." So he choreographed, and we did 3 performances, got written up in the New York Times. And the last performance, there was another soloist who got injured and she didn't have an understudy. And so he said he begged me to learn her role overnight because I had an understudy. So I
Mhm.
learned her role overnight, and her role was a lot of back bends because that was her thing. And
Mm.
it wasn't my thing.
What was the show? What do you remember?
I don't remember the name. It was Marcus Galante Showcase,
Okay.
in 1986, and I performed it, and I could not walk afterwards. I was in so much pain, and when
You got through the show though.
I got through the
Of
show,
course, the
yeah,
show must go
so much
on.
fun, right?
Somehow I knew that about you.
So the doctor said, "We're going to have to put you in the hospital for 10 days." And I said, "I don't want to go in the hospital." He said, "Well, then we'll give you muscle relaxers and cortisone, but do not move for 10 days. Crawl to the bathroom if you have to."
Mhm.
So I did. 10 days, I was not better. And in
Mm.
3 months, I was not better. And after a year and a half, they sent me to pain management because it was so bad. I couldn't
Yeah.
sit, I could only stand. I
Ugh.
started working with Julio Horvath, who was the creator of Gyrotonics expansion system. And he said, "Well, I can make you better." And he says, "But it's going to hurt." So I invited him and his girlfriend over for dinner. We had
Is
a
that
lot.
like traction? I've never heard of that, gyrotronics.
It's like
Wow.
Pilates, but everything moves in more of a circular motion,
Uh-huh.
whereas Pilates is more parallel and linear.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, so I
Interesting.
had him over for dinner. We had lots of wine, and then I said, "Okay, you could do what you want." And he took his fist and he went jam on my.
Oh.
I saw stars and walked him to the door, said goodbye, thank you. The next day, I had no back pain.
Wow. Wait,
But
did
my
he did
but
he
my
fist you in the
knee,
back? Did he
my
fist you in the back?
he fisted me in the back, but the next day, my knee was killing me. So
Oh
he
God.
fisted from the knee to the back to the knee.
They say it's all connected.
So now a year and a half of pain in the knee, and then I had an operation and nothing was working. And finally, after 3 years, I found a physical therapist that was able to help me heal my knee by strengthening it in a very small area. And
Mhm.
the lights went on for me,
Mm.
in reference to what I wanted to do. I wanted to help others after that. But during those 3 years, I was lost.
Mhm.
I was
But you
absolutely
know
lost.
what's interesting about this story is that you said you wanted to quit dance and you were ready for it, and you had this, opportunity given to you where people said, again, the outside world's telling you, no, 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 you can't. And then your body, you were kind of intuitive because you were listening to your body, right? And then your body said, okay, you're quitting for now.
Right,
And
right.
you got injured. Yeah.
So, you asked me a question about, 40-year-old women and older who don't know what they want. So during those 3 years, I didn't know what I wanted. And I did go through a therapy for career transitions for dancers,
Hmm.
working one on one with somebody who was like trying to help me, guide me into other areas that I could go into. And I felt like a nun who just got out of the nunnery, and like the world was my oyster, but it was kind of like I wanted too many things. I had too many
Yeah.
choices,
Yeah.
and it was a very difficult time. And I started drawing during that time, and
Mm.
I noticed that I was drawing figures from ballet, remembering school American ballet when I was younger.
Mhm.
And actually, those drawings are becoming famous now.
Oh my gosh, where can we get them?
I haven't. I haven't put it out yet, but sometimes I'll throw it on Facebook one at
Uh-huh.
a time. But
We'll have your Facebook link on the episode page.
I am writing a memoir, and I might throw some of those caricatures in there.
Mm, mm.
But
Yeah, it's amazing. And you know, that mid to late 30s, a lot of women start reevaluating. That's about when I left my corporate career, my full time corporate career. And you start reevaluating, you know, what's important in life? Where do I want to go from here? And a lot of women make a huge pivot. And for me, it's interesting that you talked about the drawings, because for me, I had to get off the treadmill, and then I started doing a lot of creative things too, stuff that I never had the time to, but I always really wanted to. I took painting, I took belly dancing. I just did all these things. Learned about meditation and got my certification in hypnotherapy, and all this really creative, fun stuff that for me just kind of opened up my spirit, opened up my soul in terms of what I wanted to do. And then I started just naturally writing books and helping people get their, you know, empower them, especially women. So that age is very pivotal for a lot of women.
yes, and I think that when you're lost, you just need to try something on for size. Like if you're in a store and you want to buy an outfit for a party, you
Mhm.
have to maybe try on 10 outfits before you find the perfect one.
Yeah, yeah,
And like you did your your writing and your drawing and your belly dancing, and then it helped you understand the direction. But sometimes you have to go through that
yeah.
confusion state or exploration.
Yeah. I think it's also important to use both sides of your brain, right? And even people that are in very, you know, right brain sort of jobs, like, you know, number crunchers and things like that. Many times they'll have a passion that's completely different, like, oh, I build miniature boats or something like that to help balance your brain and actually pull from a lot of different areas so that you can, one, feel satisfied with your life, and two, look and see, you know, what is the next step. I mean, I was never going to be a professional belly dancer. I knew that for sure. Or jazz dancer, which is another thing I did. But I really loved the creative outlet for it. And
Yes.
of course, nothing like what you did. I've always dance for me has always been a real creative outlet from when I was young. I took jazz and tap and not ballet. I did not have the body for ballet at all, but I loved the more guttural, you know, like the African dancing and the jazz dancing and whatnot. And I continued that throughout my adult life. And it's really helped me kind of open up a space for new ideas rather than being in your head all the time. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like when I work with my clients on the wellness program that I've created, um, I not only work on their body, but I also work on their spirit and see what their is blocking them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I say to them, I feel life is a pie, and you have to break the pie up into pieces
Mm-hmm.
and make sure it's well rounded, and as you said, it's brain, body, spirit. Make sure you have them all creative, right
Yeah.
brain, left brain.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
all needs to be put in that pie. And so sometimes I'll say, well, show me your pie, and it's like, well, this much is brain oriented, and this much is creative. Or I just feel balance is very important, as you say.
Yeah, when I was that's so interesting you use the pie analogy. When I was getting my certification in integrative life coaching and health coaching, um we did the pie, you know, and when you meet someone, you have them fill out this pie, and there's about, I think there's about 12 areas on it. And spirituality is one, health is another, family is another, social connections. And I don't mean social
Oh,
networks. I mean like real
right.
social connections, friends and things like that. And then you ask people to plot on that circle, where they are, in terms of satisfaction or not. And you kind of come up with this inner circle of, okay, where are you off? Because you're right, if one of those spokes is off, the wheel can't go, right? It's broken down. So you have to be balanced in all those areas. What else do you do in your wellness program for people? What Any advice that you can give people that really want to just kind of get to the next level in their life and open up some opportunities?
So very interesting. I do different things for different clients depending on what I see. So if I'm helping them to, like, if they're injured and they're getting stuck in a compensation pattern that is hindering their posture in a
Hmm.
positive way, I try to educate
I'm
them
feeling like I have to sit up straighter now.
on how to find the posture, mind through body, and to
Mhm,
be connected with the mind and body. And with
mhm,
some clients, like there was this one woman I was dealing with, and I felt like she kept reacting to the exercises. So I'd say, well, let's sit a squat, and as
mhm,
you squat, let the pelvis rotate. And she kept trying to do it and trying to push and trying to push. And I said, wait a minute. I said, slow down, breathe. And then I
breathe.
asked you a personal question. And she said, yes. And I said, have your parents divorced, or do you have any situation as a kid that was difficult? And she said, well, no, they stayed together, but they should have divorced. And my mother was bipolar.
Mm,
I was an only kid. And I said, well, do you feel like you were always like trying to get a step ahead of her so that you wouldn't receive anger or burst of confusion from her? She
mhm,
said,
mhm,
yes. And I said, well, I feel sometimes that you quickly react
mm,
instead of think about something and respond. And I said, for your homework, I want you to take a moment to just like breathe for 10 seconds slowly and think about, if you're going to do an exercise, gee, how am I going to do this? And how do I feel when I do it? So that you're getting into your body instead of reacting and doing it for me,
mhm,
do it for yourself. So every person I work with, I see blockages, whether
mhm,
it's physically or sometimes mentally,
mhm.
that I
And
feel.
being real connected as you are and have always been to your body is extremely important because I think it brings you into the present moment. Listening to your body as you're doing exercise and also just feeling what you feel like as you go along your day.
That's
Correct?
very true. And
Hmm.
some clients I work with have no idea how to do that. And I'll
Yes.
say, can you feel your abs? What do you mean, can I feel my abs? Can you tighten them? Well, I thought I was tightening them. Can you feel it relax and tighten? I don't know. And you're right. I mean, some people are not taught to be in touch with their body, and that's another process
Yes,
to
yes.
learn
I
it.
think if you've been exercising from an early age, it's a lot easier. But for people who maybe not have exercised all their life and starting at a later age, it's hard to get in tune with, okay, isolate that ab, or isolate that thigh muscle or whatnot. And how do you teach someone that? You have to just,
Slow.
feel it, put your hand there and feel it.
Yes, yes, sensory, very slow,
Yeah.
and give them the patience that the process of learning will take a while, and not
Hmm.
to worry about it.
Yes, yes, yes. I want to pivot and talk about your age. And I want to just first tell the listeners that I have gotten permission from you to talk about your age. You are, and for those of anyone who's watching this on YouTube, I mean, you're going to see how great Stephanie looks for her age. She's 72 years old,
Well, in two
and
weeks, in 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks. Okay, okay. So that still, you look like you're 50. You're more young at heart than a lot of 20 and 30-year-olds that I meet. And I think that has, when your spirit feels young and you're young at heart, it comes out in your appearance as well. And of course, we have to take care of our appearance. What do you think is your secret to staying young at heart and looking the way you do?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
And it's not just one secret, I'm sure, but what can you pass on to people that want to look like you at 72? I certainly do.
Take my class. Um,
So your class is a combination of Pilates, correct?
it's called Pilates Ballet by Stephanie Herman,
Mhm.
and I'm an educator.
Mhm.
So, I mean, like, I teach people how the skeleton moves through
Mhm.
movement. And a lot of people are not taught how the skeleton, will actually move within its joints, and how how the pelvis moves
Mhm.
helps you actually become more flexible.
Which is extremely important as we
Right.
get
And
older.
it's
But
a,
your classes are in person, correct? Not online?
no, I have Zoom
Okay.
one-on-one, and they have to start with the one-on-one with a fitness assessment and
Right, right.
the 10 package, so I get to know that person
Mhm.
individually. And so I'll put like 3 or 4 people together that I know, and they know
Yes.
my formula. So then I could say, well, we're going to rotate the sit bone as we move the pelvis to the right, and everybody, boom, 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 knows what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But the question was,
How do you stay
how
how
do
do
I
people stay young at heart without, of course, taking your classes, but what's the essence of
I
it?
was kidding, but not really. I think I was the youngest of 4, so I think being the youngest, I was mischievous, and I probably was born with that.
Mhm.
And my oldest sister, I and my brother, actually my whole family has that. But I think it's really important to do what you love in life, and
Mhm.
don't take that away from your life. So
Mhm.
I have a TV show, the Stephanie Herman show, and my motto is love life by living it,
Mm.
live life by loving it.
Mhm.
And it's not just, as you said, work, 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 work. And if
Right.
you are working, you need to put balance. You need to put,
Yes.
if you have something you love in your life, whatever it is, then the spirit, just,
Mhm. Make
you're
time for it,
good.
right? Even if it's just on the weekends or,
Oh,
5 minutes a
totally.
day, just make time for it. It's
Yeah.
really
Because
important.
even if it's a little, it'll
Yeah.
eventually get bigger.
Yes, yes. What do you do personally? I mean, obviously you get a lot out of teaching classes, but what do you do personally? What's your daily routine of overall wellness?
Well, I decided to write my memoir.
Okay, so
And
you're right.
while I was writing, I realized I love to write.
Oh, me
Uh, you
too.
know, yeah, and everybody thought, "Oh my God, you're so disciplined with your writing," because I wrote every day. But I did it because I loved it. And I
Hmm.
was just like really getting into it, and I loved the humor of it, or I put the words together in a way that, oh my gosh, that's really great. So that's one thing.
So you do what you love, just as you teach. You practice what you teach. What else?
I love food.
Me too.
My husband does too. So
So do you cook?
we both cook, and I love being creative. He's an engineer, and he's very engineering about everything.
Hmm.
Everything in
So
place.
he's a better baker, probably, and you're a
No,
better
he
cook.
doesn't bake. He doesn't bake, but he's very efficient. So he taught me how to be more efficient, less
Hmm.
messy. Like,
Yeah.
oh, prepare everything before we put it together. But I'm kind of like, oh, let's put this spice in.
That's how I cook. Yeah. Which makes me a terrible baker because I cannot stand following a recipe to the T.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And I love film. I love film. I took acting, and when I watch film, I watch it, and I'm a producer, and I just watch film. If I love it, I could watch the same film over and over again
Mm,
because I keep seeing it
yeah.
from another point of view. I love performing sometimes, so I
Do you
have.
still dance? Do you still dance today?
I did you see my Wild A documentary? I just finished
I
a
don't
couple
think
months
so.
ago. I'll send it to you. I actually danced.
Oh, it was this recently?
Yes, like
Oh my gosh, good for
3
you.
months ago. So I have to take ballet and Pilates in order to stay in shape because
Yes.
if my memoir turns into a movie, I want to act or dance in it.
And what part would you play?
I don't know, I would like help produce it and, maybe a small role of something.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Wow. I just, you are such an inspiration. You just keep going and going, and you don't allow age to stop you. You don't allow outside influences to stop you. I think it's definitely a great example for all of us, especially women over 40, in terms of what they want to do in life. And you're never limited. I mean, even if your dream doesn't come out exactly the way you want, there's all other avenues to pursue. And I just thank you so much for your inspiration today, Stephanie.
Well, Debbie, you also are an inspiration to
Oh,
all of us.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, listeners, you can find the links to all that Stephanie does on our website, selfpowernow.com. And while you're there, you can find some links to some free gifts that I give to people. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day and come back and see us soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks for listening to Self Power Now. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, follow it on your favorite podcast platform, and join our community on selfpowernow.com and receive 3 free happiness gifts. And while you're there, if you're looking for more ways to be happy, healthy, peaceful, and loved, check out my books and new online courses. Until next time, this is Debbie Jasoni wishing you self-power now.